إذا الأمجاد قد عظمت فللأمجاد بانيها، ومن يسعى إلى العليا سيدركها بما فيها، ويبني مجده جدلا فروح الفذ يعليها، ليصبح همة تروي عن العليا مغانيها.
Assalamu alaikum and welcome back to another exciting year. 2016 promises to be the best year ever in mathematics, right? Welcome, guys, welcome back to the ITV Math Show. I'm your host and presenter, Mohammed Kota. Now, before we get started with today's programming, just a little bit of chit-chat to give you some info as to what had transpired last year and what's going to happen this year. Okay, remember something, guys, we are airing every day. So please make sure that you have your dials locked, you have your channels locked to ITV Networks, channel 347 on DSTV. We are airing daily. Please remember the times, 3:30 p.m. to 4:30. Okay, 3:30, that's 3:30 local South African time, 3:30 to 4:30 every day for different grades. So please check on the ITV Network's website as to what are the times of the airing. Now, we will be doing different grades on every day. So we've got Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. We will be airing from Monday to Thursday and different grades on different days. So it might be the grade 8 and 9 on a Monday or the grade 10s on a Tuesday. You'll have to check your local times. But for today's episode, we are going to be dealing with grade 10s and we're starting with products. That is the first chapter in grade 10. To give you a little bit of feedback as to what had transpired last year. We started the show, for those of you who have just joined us, for those of you that have just heard about the ITV Math Show and have tuned into the show, here's what had transpired last year. We started the programming in Ramadan last year, just as a pilot run to see what the feedback, to put our feelers out and to see what the feedback and how South Africa would then grab onto the program. And Alhamdulillah, with all praises be to the Almighty, we have received a tremendous and phenomenal amount of hits on the website as well as hits on the show. Now guys, we've heard your comments. We've listened to you. For those of you who have blogged, who have sent in your blogs to itvnetworks.tv, we've listened to you, right? And we've got a brand new programming schedule for 2016. Now, we do understand 2015 was a tiresome year. It was a grueling year for all grades. In fact, from the FET phase, what we call in South Africa the FET phase, from grade 10 right up to grade 12. Many of the schools wrote a national paper, and that national paper was set at a very, very, very high standard. Now, what South Africa, what we are trying to do, or what the country is trying to do, is to up the level of mathematics in the country. As you know, we are at the bottom of the barrel in mathematics globally, and we need to increase that level. And this is what the show is all about, is to engage you the teacher, you the parent, you the learner. We want to engage everybody into the show so that we can all attach ourselves to this revolutionary style of mathematics that is taking South Africa by storm, which is called CAPS. Now, it's completely different. Some of the topics that have been taken out in the previous dispensation has now been added into the new syllabus. So we need to keep abreast of current trends, and during the show we will keep you posted. The minute we get new information from the department or from schools, or letters or circulars get sent out, we will be informing you on the show. So this is your most informative mathematics show that you need to be tuned into. Okay? Enough of the chit-chat. We're starting today with the grade 10 program, and we're starting with products. This is the first topic in algebra that the grade 10s have started with nationally in South Africa. So we're starting with products. Okay, guys, please make sure, like we told you last year, we hope that you are opening up your ITV math file and you have all these topics. Take out your examination pads, take out your scientific calculators and your stationery. Forget about everything else that's on your mind and just focus on the show, because this content is going to assist you in getting your distinction in mathematics. So without any further delay, boys and girls, I want you to take out your books, get your pens ready. The style of it is, I will explain to you what it is. Don't write while we're explaining. We will give you chance. We will give you chance for you to take it down. Thereafter, all these episodes will be uploaded onto the website, itvnetworks.tv. Click onto the ITV Math Show, and you can get all the recordings of the previous episodes. On top of that, we have got the DVD program, and the DVD pack is more in depth, and we'll explain to you about our DVD series regarding grade 10, 11 and 12 as we go through the show. Okay, so guys, hope you guys enjoy the show, and let's get started with today's program. We're starting with grade 10 products. Now, let's first start off with what is the meaning of the word product. Okay, the meaning of the word product is an answer to a multiplication problem. Is the answer to a multiplication problem. And when we are dealing with variables, x's and y's, we know 2 times 3 is 6. 4 times 2 is 8. So 8 being the product of 4 and 2. 6 being the product of 2 and 3. 5 being the product of 1 and 5. Right? When we deal with variables, with x's, y's, z's, a's, b's, c's, we have different systems in mathematics. And the question in the exam would just say simplify. That's all that the question would say. They would not tell you which method to use. You would have to look at the problem, analyze the problem, and due to practice, you would be able to pick up what system needs to be used. Okay, so I'm just moving over here to the side. I'm going to be writing down the different types of products that you would be getting. So let's put it down here, types of products. And you can take this down as well, the types of products. Okay, the first law that we get, these are the laws. The first law that we get is the distributive law. Now, many of these, the distributive law, and many of these laws have been introduced to you in grade 8 already. So these are not brand new concepts to you. You know that you were introduced to algebra. You know that you were introduced to products in grade 7 already. From grade 7, 8, 9, we're now in grade 10. So you've probably had at least 3 to 4 years of practice on that. If you are new in the game, don't stress. If you haven't done, I know many of you have left school, many of you are doing homeschooling. Please utilize this to be able to enhance and to be able to educate you as to what is going on. Okay, we're starting with we've got the distributive law, which is law number 1. Number 2, we have got a binomial times a binomial. Now, to explain to you, what does the word binomial mean? Now, we all know that bi coming from the word bicycle, 2. Right? Whenever we say bi, we're meaning 2. So we have 2 terms. So the distributive law is 1 term times many terms. Okay? Let's put that down. The distributive law being 1 term into many terms. A binomial times a binomial, meaning 2 terms multiplied by 2 terms. Law number 3, we have squaring a binomial. So put this down, squaring a binomial. And it means exactly what it says. You have got 2 terms, 1, 2, and we are squaring it. Okay, we are squaring a binomial. So we've got the distributive law, 1 term times many terms, binomial times a binomial, right? Squaring a binomial, these are 2 terms all squared. We have then got the sum. In fact, what we're going to do, we're going to say the sum. In fact, let's do it this way. Let's say a binomial times a trinomial. So what do we have here? Binomial, meaning 2 terms. We've got 2 terms. In fact, let's do it this way. We've got 2 terms into a trinomial. 1, 2, 3 terms. So it's a binomial times a trinomial. And the last one that we have, which we will not forget, is the difference of 2 squares. Let's just put that down. The difference of 2 squares. And to give you an example of what a difference of 2 squares would look like, x minus y into x plus y. Okay? So that's what the system would look like. whenever you see this in the examination, you would be then applying the different, and each one, guys, each one is using a different system in mathematics. All I'm going to do there at the bottom, I'm just going to make this a little darker. So let's just put that as x minus y into x plus y. Hopefully you guys can all see that nice and clearly. Okay, let's get started with today's program. So take these laws down. Take these laws down. We're now going to be starting with simplification. So let's start with the first law, the law of distribution. The question in the exam says simplify. We start off with example number 1. Okay, example number 1, if I told you 2a squared into 3a cubed b minus 4ab squared minus 6. Okay, the question just says simplify. Like I said, this has been introduced to you from grade 8 already. All we need to do now is we need to remove the brackets and collect like terms. Bring it to its simplest form. So let's get started here. We're now going to be taking the one term outside, and we're going to be multiplying it by every term inside. Now, if you have purchased our grade 10 DVD pack, if you have purchased it, we are choosing different examples. So the purpose of the show is not to use the same examples as we have in our DVD series. So this will be better revision for you to be able to practice on. So let's start. Now, where do we begin? We always begin with our signs. Like in English, the way we read from left to right, we're now going to be starting with our signs. So, we all know positive times positive is a positive. We don't need to put it down. 2 times 3. Remember, we are multiplying. It's a product. So, we are multiplying. 2 times 3. That will give me 6. A2 times A3. A squared times A cubed. When we multiply, variables and bases are the same. As you guys all know from our law of exponents, when we multiply and bases are the same, we add the powers. So, 2 times, so we have A, 2 plus 3 is 5. Yes, we are multiplying, but we add the powers when we are finding the product. This comes from our law of exponents. Don't forget, we have a B. So there we go. That is our first term. Let's take our second term. A positive times negative is a negative. 2 times 4 is 8. A squared, let's just put that down, sorry about that. A squared times A1 is A to the power 3. 2 plus 1 is 3. Don't forget B squared. A positive times negative is a negative. 2 times 6 is 12. And don't forget, we have A squared. Are these like terms or unlike terms? They are unlike. They are unlike. So can we add or can we subtract unlike terms? No, we can't. Can we multiply or divide unlike terms? Yes, we can. Okay, so these are unlike terms, guys. A5b, A3b2, A squared. They are not like terms. We cannot add or subtract them. It's like vegetables or fruit. These are apples, bananas, pears. Finish. That you leave it as apples, bananas, pears. We cannot collect any like terms. And that would be your final answer. You might ask the question, is that your final answer to that? Yes, that's your final answer. Nothing further can be done to that. Now, that's a very basic example, guys. That was already introduced to you at grade 9. At grade 9 level. We're now going to pick up the pace, guys. We're now going to pick up the pace and we're going to take you right up to the grade 10 level. So now, I hope you have taken this one down. And let's go on to example number 2. Let's make it a little bit trickier and let's say negative 3x squared y into 4x3 y5. I'm making it up as we go along. Remember, mathematics, the system is the same. So no matter what values you put in there, the process of unfolding is identical. Right, plus, let's say, 5xy3 minus 6xy minus, let's say, plus 6. There we go. Okay. This is example number 2. Right. Now, many of you are good at it already. Many of you have started working with it already. I'm moving at a slower pace for those learners who are being introduced to it for the first time. If you know it and if you are working on it, then good for you. And if you're checking your answers here and you're checking that, hey, you know what, you got your answer before I get it here on the screen, then you know that you are on your way to success. Okay, guys, I hope you guys are enjoying the show. Please pay attention. Don't disconnect right now. Stay online. Let's see if we can get the answer. Many of you have put this one down and you've got your solution already. Let's check the memo. Okay, so we've got negative times positive is a negative. 3 times 4 is 12. x2 times x3, x5. y1 times y5, y6. That's your first term. You've now removed the brackets. You've multiplied this by your first term to get your first term solution. Negative times positive is a negative. 3 times 5 is 15. x2 times x1 is x3. y1 times y3 is y4. We now go on to our next term. So we're done with our second term. Remember, if you've got 4 terms in your brackets, you must have 4 terms in your final answer. If you've got 3 terms in your brackets, you'll have 3 terms in your final answer. So that is your check. Check how many terms you have in your bracket, and that is how many terms you must have in your final solution. Okay, negative times negative, positive. 3 times 6, 18. x2 times x1, x3. y1 times y1, y squared. Negative times positive is a negative. 3 times 6 is 18. x2, we don't have any variables there, so don't forget this variable here, x squared y. So we will put x squared y. Let's see, are there any like terms? We've got x5, y6, x3, y4, x3, y2, x2, y1. They are unlike. Is that my final answer, guys? Yes, it is. Okay, those of you, like I say, those of you who have purchased the grade 10 DVD set and you have mastered this, you have worked through this, then this is some revision for you, and hopefully by now you are flying through it like a hot knife through butter. If you need to make any inquiries about our DVD set, please, the number will appear on your screen, or you can phone into the ITV station, right? Or go on to kwaymath@gmail.com to order the DVD pack. Remember, the DVD pack completes the entire grade 10 syllabus over 8 to 10 discs with a completed completed workbook that you can actually start working through all these different problems. Okay, so example number 1, example number 2, I hope you've got that down. Let's now pick up the pace and go on to example number 3. Now, example number 3 is going to be a little bit tricky because this is a grade 10 problem. The next one, these are still grade 9 problems, grade 8 and 9. You might see them in grade 10. Remember, products you'll be using from grade 10, in fact, from grade 8 right up to the end of grade 12. Right, let's pick up the pace and let's now go on to a grade 10 problem. And the grade 10 ones, what is the unique feature about a grade 10 distributive law? The grade 10 distributive law utilizes fractions. Now, I know this is a nightmare for many of you, right? The minute you say the word fractions, everybody gets a shock. Everybody backs off. Don't be afraid of fractions. Very easy, simple concepts to understand. Now, let's start off with, let's do example number 3. Let's put down one. Let's say 3 over 4 a squared into 6a squared b minus 12a3 b5 plus 20. Okay. All we are going to do now, the difference between a grade 9 one and a grade 10 problem, what did I say, is that the grade 10 problem includes fractions. So you could have a fraction outside, or you could have had a fraction inside. All we're going to be doing now is multiplying it all out, exactly what we did. What did I say? The process is exactly the same, and we're going to be collecting our like terms. So the first thing that we'd like to do now, that I'd like to show you, is that when you have fractions, I'd like you to make all your whole numbers over 1. What is the reason for that? Because any whole number over 1 is still the whole number. It doesn't change the whole number. But what is the system of multiplication? We take numerator times numerator, denominator times denominator. Many of your teachers in school tell you to cross-cancel. Don't start cross-canceling now. There's a chance that you might make a mistake, right? We want to eliminate the window for mistakes. We want to be rock solid. When we are done, we don't want to say we think we're right. We want to be able to say we know we are right. Okay, guys? So I hope you're paying attention and I hope you're following. Right? I have to tell you all these things. Some of you might be saying, hey, Mr. K, just shut up and carry on with the work. I cannot do that. There's a lot of information that needs to be put in so that you, the viewer, can understand exactly what is happening at every step of the process. Okay, I'm shutting up. Let's get started. Right. 3 times 6. Numerator times numerator. 3 times 6. 18. Over. 4 times 1. 4. You might say, but Mr. K, yes, we can simplify that. Yes, we are going to do that. Hold your horses. It will be done in the next step. Don't do it now. Don't simplify in the first step. First step, we just want to get rid. We want to blow out the brackets. That's all we are doing, getting rid of the brackets. Okay, now let's start. A squared times a squared is a to the power 4. Don't forget, there's a b. Positive times negative, negative. That's over 1, right? This 12 is over 1. 3 times 12, 36. Over 4 times 1, 4. We've got a squared times a cubed is a to the power 5. Don't forget, b to the power 5. Positive times positive is a positive. 3 times 20 is 60. Over 4 times 1 is 4. Don't forget a squared. Right, now that we've removed it, now we can simplify. Right, how do we simplify 18 over 4? 4 doesn't go into 18 an equal number of times. You will get a remainder. So what do we then do? We look at the highest common factor. What do? We look at the highest common factor. What is the highest number that will go into 18 and into a 4? What is the highest number? This is the question I'm asking you. What is the highest number? Right, let's take 2. Does 2 go into 4? Yes, it does. 2 times. Does 2 go into 18? Yes, it does. How many times? 18 divided by 2 is 9. So now we're going to be using the highest common factor of 2. So 2 goes into 18 9 times. 2 goes into, we're using the highest common factor of 2. We're using the highest common factor of 2. So 2 goes into 18 9 times. 2 goes into 4 2 times. Can we simplify that any further? No. Some of you might ask, can I convert it to a decimal? We all know 9 over 2 is 4.5 or 4,5. In the exams, no, don't do it because it's without the use of a calculator, right? So 18 over 4 will be simplified as 9 over 2. You will leave it as a fraction. Okay, we're left with A4B minus 36 divided by 4 is 9. It's a perfect. 4 goes into 36, exact number. Remember, from the fraction, this line in your fraction represents your division. It represents divided. So 36 divided by 4 is 9. What am I left with? A5, B5 plus 60 divided by 4. Does 4 goes into 60 an equal number of times? Yes, it does. How many times? 15 times. And I'm left with A squared. And guys, that is your final answer. You've got, they are unlike terms. We cannot add or subtract them. We can multiply or divide them, but we cannot add or subtract them. A problem like this will be worth about 3 marks in the exam, right? 9 over 2, A4B, minus 9, A5, A to the power 5, B to the power 5, plus 15, A squared. Okay, so I hope you have taken this down. You're putting down these examples. And please make sure that after the show, you go over this work. You as a parent, if you are monitoring your child, if you are watching your child watch the show, take down all these notes. Please spend a little, about 15 or 20 minutes after the show to make sure that your child understands every concept that we've explained through the show thoroughly. Ensure that your child practices on these problems and is able to do these problems or these challenges without any assistance. Then you know that your child is progressing, that your child is learning. Okay, guys, so we're done with example number 3, that is to do with fraction. So that is grade 10 products, our first law that we have completed with, which is the distributive law. We've got 5 minutes. We've just been informed. We've got 5 minutes left to our ad break. And let's get started with our second topic. We are done. We are done with the distributive law. We are now going. So let's say distributive law, and let's put a tick. Right? This is your checklist, guys. This is your checklist to see whether you know this whole topic. Now, we might not finish in today's show. We might not finish the entire topic on products, right? If you've got the DVD, that you can keep on watching. But remember, we'll be airing the grade 10 program weekly, 1 hour per week. Please make sure that you are following it systematically. Okay. We're now starting on our next topic, and our next topic called a binomial times a binomial. We're still under the topic of products. Let's show you what a binomial looks like. You guys, again, I'm telling you, you've been introduced to this many years ago. So let's show you, for those of you who have just joined the grade 10 syllabus, a binomial times a binomial. Question in the exam will say simplify. Let's take an easy one. Let's take x plus 2 into x minus 5. Question will say simplify in the exam. For sure, in grade 10, you're not going to see a system as simplified as this. It will get a little bit more complex, and that's the purpose of the show, to take you from 0 to hero over a series of our programs. Right, so please keep your dials locked to channel 347 ITV. Let's get started. Now, when you have a binomial times a binomial, two terms multiplied, when we don't have a sign separating brackets, means multiplication. So we've got 2 terms multiplied by 2 terms. What is the system? And many of you might be screaming out there in the lounge, or in your bedrooms, or wherever you're watching the show. Yes, this is what the system is called, FOIL. Right? Has got nothing to do with the wrapping that your lunch came in today. FOIL represents first. Our 2 first terms, we multiply out. Our 2 outer terms, these are called the outer terms. You can see they're on the outskirts. They're right at the end. So your 2 first terms, your 2 outer terms, your 2 inner terms, and your 2 last terms. So basically, it's your first term in your first bracket multiplied by both the terms in your second bracket. So your first term times both the terms, then your second term times both the terms. And then we collect our like terms. So it's first, outer, inner, last. So let's multiply it out. And then I'll take you up to a grade 10 problem. So this is grade 8 and 9 still. Right? A little bit of revision here. X times x, x squared. That's my 2 first terms. My 2 outer terms, minus 5x. My 2 inner terms, plus 2x. My 2 last terms, 2 times positive 2 times negative 5, minus 10. And there we go. Let's collect our like terms here in the middle. X squared minus 5x plus 2x. By now you should know your integers is negative 3x minus 10. So the answer to a binomial times a binomial is a trinomial in your final answer. Right? Please remember that the answer to the product of a binomial times a binomial is a trinomial in your final answer. Okay? Boys and girls, we're cutting for an ad break. I'm going to give you 2 problems like this to do during the ad break, and let's see when we get back, can you solve it? So, I'll do one easy one. I'll tell you x minus 5 into x plus 6. That would be the first one. And let's pick up the pace a little, and I'll tell you 2x minus 3 into 4x plus 2. There we go. 2 problems for you. We're cutting for a 3-minute ad break. When we get back from the ad break, we'll go through the solutions. Stay tuned to ITV. Okay guys, welcome back to the ITV Math Show. I'm your host and presenter, Mohammed Kota. Hope you guys have been watching the show from the beginning. We started off with grade 10 products, and I left you. We've done the distributive. Just to recap what we've done quickly before, for those of you who have just joined us, we've completed the distributive law, right? If you missed the show, or if you missed the first 2 segments, go to the itvnetworks.tv. It should be uploaded within a day or 2. Go on to products and the distributive law, and you can check it. For those of you who have got the DVD pack, you are working in conjunction with the show, the live show, or the pre-recording, the show that you have been watching now, as well as the DVD pack. So here goes, guys. I left you with these two problems to do during the break. We started with one example here. Let's see how well you have coped. Right, first, outer, inner, last. You don't need to draw the pattern down. That now needs to be done mentally. So x times x, x squared, my two first terms, my two outer terms, plus 6x, my two inner terms, minus 5x. Remember, we are multiplying, and the last two terms, negative 5 times positive 6 is minus 30. Let's collect our like terms. We have now got x squared plus 6x minus 5x is plus 1x minus 30. And there we go. Guys, that is the answer to the first problem, or that we've given you, and I hope that you have got it right. Okay, if you have got it right, put a big smile on your face. You know you're on your way to success. Right, the next problem here that we've given you, the last one here, two first terms. Yes, the problems have changed slightly. They've just got a little bit more difficult in levels of difficulty. This is still grade 9. I will then show you a grade 10 one, which we're going to be doing after this year. That will include fractions. Remember, grade 10 products deal with fractions. Okay, so 2x times 4x will give me my 8x. Plus 2x times 2 is plus 4x. My two inner terms, minus 12x. That is negative 3 times 4x will give me my minus 12x. And minus 3 times positive 2 will give me my negative 6. And there we go. 8x squared plus 4x minus 12x minus 6. Is that my final solution? No, that's not. We've still got our like terms in the middle to collect. So this would equal to, we've got 8x squared plus 4x plus 4 minus 12 minus 8x. 4 minus 12, negative 8 minus 6. And there we go. Like we said, how do you know you're right? You check that the answer to a binomial will always be a trinomial in your final answer. 1, 2, 3 separate terms. Like we said, the answer to a binomial times a binomial is a trinomial in your final answer. Okay, so these are your first 3 examples. We're now going on to a grade 10 style problem that will include fractions. So let's see what that one looks like. Okay, just erasing the board. You will still continue writing. Please make sure that you have opened up your ITV math file, and you will be putting this under your topic called products, which is topic number 2, the binomial times the binomial. We've completed the distributive law in the first 2 segments. We're now on the binomial times a binomial. So let's look at a grade 10 style problem. And let's make one up. I tell you, negative 2 over 5x. Let's put it 2 over 5x minus 6 into, let's call it 4x minus a half. There we go. That's a grade 10 style binomial times a binomial. And what did I say? What is the difference? How do you identify it? You identify it by it having fractions. Okay, many ways of doing this. Now you need to pay attention. We're dealing with fractions, and we are multiplying fractions out. What is the style of multiplying fractions out? You take the numerator times the numerator, denominator times the denominator. So let's just put it down here on the side. When you're multiplying 2 fractions, so let's put a fraction. So say you had a value here, that's one fraction, and you're multiplying it by another fraction. What is the system here? Let's just choose a different color. What is the system? You take numerator times numerator, denominator times denominator. Okay, that has been introduced to you in grade 5 already. Let's start. Now, the first thing I'd like you to do here is to put this over 1. Okay, let's make our whole numbers. You take all your whole numbers and put it over 1. Why? It will make it easier for you to multiply out. So let's start with our 2 first terms. Right? So 2 times 4 will give me 8 over 5 times 1 will give me 5. X times x will give me x squared. And there we go. We've multiplied our first 2 terms. Numerator times numerator, denominator times denominator. Don't forget your variable. It's not x. It's x times x, which is x squared. Okay, that's our 2 first terms. Hope you've got that down. Okay? I'm going to go through this one very thoroughly. Then before we cut for the ad break, I'll give you one or two problems to do for the 3 minutes. And that will be your test to see whether you have understood it. Okay, let's go on to the next two, our two outer terms. Positive times negative is a negative. 2 times 1 is 2 over 5 times 2 is 10. X times 1 is x. And we leave that as is. My two inner terms. Negative times positive is a negative. 6 times 4, 24. X. Put that over 1. 1 times 1 is 1. I'm leaving it there. Negative times negative is a positive. 6 times 1, 6 over 1 times 2, 2. So we've done our two first terms, our outer terms, our inner terms, and our last terms. We've multiplied them out, and that is what we have. Okay, let's simplify this even further. Can it be simplified? Yes, it can be simplified. Let's see. Okay, so we've got 8 over 5x squared minus 2 goes into 2 once, 2 goes into 10 5 times. So it's 1 over 5x minus 24x, there we go, plus 6 divided by 2 is 3. Okay, what we can do now is collect. We still have like terms here in the middle. We've got two like terms in the middle. So let's do this. If you want to, we can do this. Put this all over 1 and we can make, we are adding or subtracting like terms. We are adding or subtracting like terms. So now we are going to be finding the lowest common denominator. So what did we do? Just a quick recap. I know this is getting a little bit intensive, right? This is grade 10 content. So we multiplied them all out. We multiplied them all out. We simplified them. We're now going to find the lowest common denominator. What number will a 5, a 1, and a 1 go into? 5. I'm going to show you two different methods. This is method number 1. So what you guys can do, if you're following the show, put this as method 1. I will then show you a different method. Then you can decide after that which is the better method that you would like to employ while you are doing your exam. So this method being that you put it over whole numbers, you multiply it all out, and you find your LCD. Both ways, method 1 and method 2, should give us exactly the same solution. So 5 goes into 5 once. 1 times 8x squared is 8x squared minus 5 goes into 5 once. 1 times 1x is 1x. Minus 1 into 5 5 times. 24 times 5. Now you can go 24 times 5. That will give you 120 minus 120x plus 1 into 5 5 times. 5 times 3 is 15. We can still collect our like terms. And your final answer here, guys, the final answer, because we are just simplifying, we're collecting our like terms. We have got 8x squared minus 1 minus 120 is minus 121x plus 15 over 5. Guys, you would get about 5 marks for this in the exam. What did we do as a quick recap? We multiplied it all out, right? We simplified it. Then we found the lowest common denominator. LCD, because we are adding or subtracting, we had to find the lowest common denominator. And what does LCD mean? Lowest common denominator, one denominator that all your previous denominators will go into. So 5 goes into 5 once. 1 times 8x squared is 8x squared minus 5 into 5 once. 1 times 1x is 1x minus 1 into 5 5 times. 5 times 24 is 120. Plus 1 into 5 5 times. 5 times 3 is 15. All we did now is collected our like terms. 8x squared minus 1 minus 120x is minus 121x plus 15 over 5. And there we go, guys. That would give you your final solution. Let's look at an alternate solution, an alternate method of doing this. We've only got 5 minutes left before we cut for an ad break. So let me show you. Let's take it down and let's employ method number 2. We're taking the same problem, but we are now doing method 2. Okay? Let's see. You can then choose which method you would like to utilize in your exam. So let's now go on to method 2. Same problem, different method. Right. Now, what you can do is you can find your LCD within your brackets first. Look at your LCD within the brackets first. Remember BODMAS says find your lowest common denominator. So let's find the LCD here. Your LCD here is 5. 5 goes into 5 once. 1 times 2x is 2x. Minus 1 into 5, 5 times. 5 times 6 is 30. So we found the LCD from the beginning within the bracket. So in the previous one, we multiplied out first. In the second method, we found the LCD within the bracket first. Right? That's the difference between method 1 and method 2. Now, let's go into here. 1 and 2, what's your common denominator? 2. 1 goes into 2, 2 times 4 is 8x. Right? 1 into 2, 2 times 4x, 8x. Minus 2 goes into 2 once. 1 times 1 is 1. There we go. Now it looks like that. All we've done is we've taken it from step number 1 into step number 2. Right. Now we're going to multiply numerator times numerator, denominator times denominator. Okay. So 5 times 2 is 10. So let's do our denominators first. 5 times 2 is 10. We now have numerator times numerator, which is 2x minus 30 times 8x minus 1. All over one denominator, which is 5 times 2, which is 10. Let's now multiply it all out. Let's check. Right. So now we're going to do FOIL. First, outer, inner, last. So 2x times 8x, 16x squared. 2x times minus 1, minus 2x. Minus 30 times 8. 8 3s are 24. Minus 240x. Negative times negative is a positive. 30 times 1 is 30. Over 10. Right? Let's see. We've got 16x squared. Minus 2 minus 240 is minus 242x plus 30 over 10. Now, I'm just going to move over. I don't have enough space here on the screen. I'm going to move over to the side. So please bear with me. Right. Now remember this and the previous one is exactly the same. I'm going to say, now we can simplify this. All right. So let's see. You have taken this one down. Let's move over to the side. 2 goes. Now remember, this 16x squared, what we're going to do here is this 10 belongs to each term. So we've got 16x squared over 10. I'm trying to do it 2 different ways. So minus, let's go, 242x over 10, 242x over 10, plus 30 over 10, plus 30 over 10. Now that's one way of doing it, of simplifying it, taking each term and putting it over the denominator. Alternatively, if you didn't want to separate it, all you could have done now is you could have taken the highest common factor that will go into each one. So let's take the number 2. We know the number 2 will go into 16, the number 2 will go into 242, the number 2 will go into 30, and the number 2 will go into 10, right? The number 2 is the highest common factor that will go into each of these terms. So now, 2 goes into 16, 8 times, so we got 8x squared, minus 2 goes into 242, 121 times x, plus 2 goes into 30, 15 times, 2 goes into 10, 5 times. And there we go. In fact, don't do that step on the side. Don't do the step on the side. In fact, just go from there into your final answer. You will take the number 2 and divide it. Because what are we doing? We are simplifying. Okay, guys, we're cutting for an ad break. I will re-explain this problem and we will do 1 or 2 more problems after the ad break. Take this problem down, process it, understand it, and stay tuned to the show. Boys and girls, welcome back to the ITV Math Show with me, your host and presenter, Mohammed Kota. Right? We're shooting here from our studios here in Johannesburg. This is channel 347 DSTV. Please make sure you have your remotes or your channels locked onto channel 347. Right? Best math show in the world. We started off with grade 10, products, binomial. I left you with this example before the break. Many of you said, this was a hectic example. So what we've done, what we've decided to do, I'm going to redo this problem for you quickly, right? Just to make sure that you have understood it. And then we're going to take another one with fractions, grade 10, to make sure that you understand it fully. Okay, To recap what we are doing the types of different products. We've done the distributive law. Today's show will end up with a binomial times a binomial, right? Next week's show, we will continue with squaring a binomial times a trinomial, and hopefully in next week's show get to complete the difference of two squares. Then we know that we are completed with the first topic for grade 10, which is called products. Thereafter, we're going to be moving on to factorization, which is also a nightmare for many of you. Those of you who have purchased our DVD set, the grade 10 DVD set, right? You have worked through all of this. These are just added examples for you to be able to check whether you are understanding mathematics or your grade 10 content. So let's erase this, guys. Let's erase this. And let's go on to, let's redo this problem. Okay, so here goes, guys. We said we are finding the LCD. Method number 2, we are finding the LCD within the problem. So here we go. Our LCD here is 5. 5 into 5 once. 1 times 2x is 2x. Minus 1 into 5, 5 times 6 is 30. I'm sure you all got that. I'm going to put a tick. It means that you all understand it. You know what I've done. Right, let's look at the next one. Number 2. 1 into 2, 2 times. 2 times 4x is 8x. Minus 2 goes into 2 once. 1 times 1 is 1. I'm going to put a tick there. Means you've understood that too. Okay. Now, we're going to multiply. Numerator times numerator. Denominator times denominator. So I'm going to put a big line there. 2 times 5 is 10. Right. Let's multiply that out. So we got 2x minus 30 into 8x minus 1. Numerator times numerator. Denominator times denominator. I'm going to put a tick there again. It means I know you know what I've done. Okay? Let's go on to the next step. We're now multiplying out. So FOIL. First, outer, inner, last. Over that. So let's go. Put a long line there. 2x times 8x. 16x squared. My two first terms. My two outer terms, minus 2x. You multiplying. My two inner terms, minus 240x. 30 times 8 is 240x. My two last terms, negative times negative is a positive. Don't forget to multiply your signs out. Negative times negative is a positive. 30 times 1 is 30. Let's put that x nicely so that we can all see. There we go, over 10. Let's collect our like terms. Right? We've multiplied out. Let's collect our like terms. 16x squared minus 2 minus 240 is minus 242x plus 30 over 10. Right, that's where we got to. So you've understood that step. You've understood that we've multiplied it all out, and you've also understood that we've collected our two like terms. Where did we collect it from? There. Minus 2 minus 240, that will give me my minus 242x. Okay? Up till here, we all good? Good. Last step. We now need to simplify that. That isn't in its simplest form. So what number goes into 16, 242, 30, and 10? The number 2. So now, let's simplify. We're dividing everything by 2. So 16 divided by 2, 8x squared, minus 242 divided by 2, 121x, plus 30 divided by 2 is 15, over 10 divided by 2 is 5. And there we go. That's our final answer. Can we simplify this? No, we can't. That's our simplest form. And you will notice that the answer to method number 1 or method number 2 is exactly the same. Whichever method you utilize in the exam, whichever one you feel comfortable with, whichever one you enjoy using, and you're getting the correct solution, employ that solution. You will get the full marks. A problem like this in the exam, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 5 marks in the exam. You will get marks step by step. Do not lose anything. Do not leave out anything. Lose any marks. Remember, you get process marks in the exam. 5 marks, 5 steps. 5 marks, 5 steps. Make sure you don't leave out anything. Just to give you some good practice in mathematics, make sure that all your equal to signs are one below the other. Okay? In your exam, put them against your line. Right? Make sure that your fractions, you are writing it over 2 lines. I know many of you squeeze it within 1 line. Don't do that. Okay, put your numerator on one line, put your denominator on another line. Why? Because it becomes more legible so that you can understand what you are doing, as well as when you are multiplying your fractions out. It's easier to take your numerator times numerator, denominator times denominator when you have your fraction over two lines. That's the second reason why I'm telling you to write your fractions over two lines. The third reason why you are writing it over two lines, when you have a whole number like 6, right? You know that that 6 belongs to your numerator because you're going to be writing it on the top line. At the bottom, you're going to be putting 1. So you won't make the mistake by multiplying that 6, right, by the numerator and the denominator of the next fraction. No. If it's on the top line, you only multiply. So it's top times top, bottom times bottom. You can't take a top number and multiply it by both. No. Big mistake that many of you make in the exams. And try and eliminate those errors. Remember, I always say, mathematics is about 3 things. S-A-N. S-A-N. Speed, accuracy, neatness. Make sure you work fast, work accurate, and work very neat. The neater you write, the quicker you will get your solution. Okay, so this was. Let's take one more example with fractions, grade 10. Before we wrap up today's show, we're taking one more example. Example number 2. Grade 10. Guys, we're now full blown into grade 10. Let's take 2x minus a third into a quarter x plus 9. Let's multiply this out, right? Let's just get a quick cue from the guys in the studio. How much time we've got left there? We've got 5 minutes left, guys. 5 minutes, and let's see whether we can do this one right. Okay, so let's go. Let's put that over 1. Let's put that over 1. Which method are we employing? Let us see. I would say let's find the LCD within the brackets. Okay, so I'm going to do it. I'm going to employ method number 2. I'm finding the LCD within the brackets. So 1 and 3 is 3. 4 and 1 is 4. So there we go. Our LCD in the first bracket is 3. Our LCD, because we're adding or subtracting, we're finding lowest common denominator. Right. Let's go. Let's work. 1 into 3, 3 times. 3 times 2x is 6x minus 3 into 3 once. 1 times 1 is 1. 4 goes into 4. We're done with the first bracket. 4 into 4 once. 1 times 1x is 1x plus 1 into 4 4 times. 4 times 9 is 36. Now, numerator times numerator, denominator times denominator. So 3 times 4, guys, is 12. Right? We multiplied it out. And we have 6x minus 1 into x plus 36. Okay, let's multiply it out, guys. Equal to, put the long denominator sign. There's our number 12. I'm just going to write this slightly smaller on the top so we've got more space at the bottom. Right. 6x times x is 6x squared, my 2 first terms. My 2 outer terms plus 36 times 6. 36 times 6 gives us 216 plus 216x. My 2 inner terms minus 1x. My 2 last terms minus 36. What do I have? 6x squared plus 216 minus 1 is plus 215x minus 36 over 12. Let's see. Is there a number that will go into 6, 215, 36 and 12? I'm assuming 3. Let's see. 215 divided by 3. No, nothing. There's nothing that will go. That, in fact, that becomes your final solution. 6x squared, let's put that properly. 6x squared plus 215x minus 36 over 12. We can't simplify that any further. And that brings us to the end of the problem. Boys and girls, ladies and gentlemen, teachers alike, friends, fellow countrymen, fellow SA citizens, hope you guys have enjoyed today's bumper episode of the ITV Math Show. We've completed the distributive law and the binomial times a binomial. Stay tuned. Our programming carries on every day for different grades. Right? Today was grade 10. We'll see you next week, same time, same place, 3:30 to 4:30, ITV channel 347. From me, your host and presenter, Mohammed Kota. Hope you guys have enjoyed our show. If you guys need any inquiries about our DVD set, please phone us on 081 706 3986. Or you can send us an email on kwmath@gmail.com. From me, your host and presenter, Mohammed Kota, have a fantastic week and enjoy doing math.
الأمجاد قد عظمت فللأمجاد بانيها، ومن يسعى إلى العليا سيدركها بما فيها، ويبني مجده جذلا فروح الفذ يعليها، ليصبح همة تروي عن العليا مغانيها.